Underneath the vast, shimmering canvas of a desert night sky, where stars twinkle like scattered jewels upon a dark velvet cloth, one can almost hear the gentle lapping of waters flowing from the sacred Nile River. It is here, cradled by the lifeblood of Egypt, that ancient civilization began its slow and graceful rise, a reflection of both the timelessness and transience of human existence. The Nile, winding through the heart of this great land, unfurls like a silken ribbon, illuminating the landscape with sustenance and vitality, while starkly contrasting the seemingly relentless, barren desert that frames it. As we set our imaginings against this magnificent backdrop, we find ourselves drawn into the tender embrace of a world that thrives under the watchful gaze of countless constellations, whose celestial bodies served as both navigational guides and profound cultural symbols for the ancient Egyptians. The constellations held significant meanings, for they evoked stories of gods, the cycle of life, and the perpetual dance between creation and dissolution. It was as if the heavens were in conversation with the earth below, offering insights, omens, and foresight, guiding the lives of those who sought wisdom from their cosmic companions. The earth here is fertile, nurtured by the annual flooding of the Nile, a rhythm dictated by an ancient clock whose gears turned long before the first pharaoh adorned the throne. The tumultuous waters rise, spread, and recede, leaving behind a rich tapestry of soil that holds the promise of life, a bounty of crops that would sustain both humble families and the formidable structures of power. Each year, like an artist at work, the Nile sculpts the landscape anew, crafting a delicate balance between the lush banks teeming with growth and the relentless expanse of the desert. The mingling of water and sand paints a vivid picture of life itself, filled with dichotomies and harmonies that reflect the essence of the ancient Egyptians. As we absorb this tranquil scene, we can almost catch sight of the early settlers who recognized the river's gifts, their humble settlements dotted along the fertile banks. Here life flourished amidst the ebb and flow of the Nile's bounty, as fields adorned with golden grains extended towards the horizon, dancing gently in the breeze like waves upon the sea. The fertile land gave rise to agriculture, a revolution that would echo through the ages, changing lives and establishing the very foundation of a burgeoning civilization. With each season, the farmers would sow their seeds, nurture their crops, and yield their harvest as the sun painted the day in shades of crimson and gold. Turning our gaze away from the fertile waters for a brief moment, let us reflect upon the unyielding desert that stands sentinel at the borders of this life-giving oasis. It is a vast ocean of undulating dunes where time seems to stand still. The sun rises and sets, tracing a path across the sky while the eternal sands shift and settle, bearing witness to the passage of time. The challenges and harshness of this physical environment would temper the spirits of those who dwelled nearby, teaching them resilience and fostering a sense of community that would become the hallmark of their identity. This ingenious contrast between the verdant banks of the Nile and the desert beyond fostered a profound depth to their understanding of life, death, and rebirth, a philosophy beautifully encoded in their art, their worship, and their everyday activities. Each star above would spark the fires of myth, intertwining their earthly existence with the divine, as they sought reassurance from the gods that governed their fate. In their reverie beneath the celestial light, they would cast their aspirations, fears, and gratitude into the cosmos, hoping for a benevolent touch in their often precarious journey through life. As we listen to the soft whispers of the desert wind, we may also imagine the myriad bird calls that serenade the banks of the Nile, offering a symphony of sound, rich and layered, amidst scenes of bucolic beauty. In time, communities would form, bonded by these gentle rhythms of nature and necessity, building homes and shared lives along the banks that cradled them. The sight of industrious children at play, their laughter mingling with the sounds of rustling reeds, gives life to the memory of generations past, echoes of humanity that resonate softly, as faint as the shadows cast by flickering torches on ancient walls. As the heavens swirl with light and the water continues its journey through life, it becomes apparent that our gaze upon this ancient land must be filled, not solely with the desire to unravel the past, but with a yearning to understand its enduring significance. For the legacy of Egypt is not wrapped entirely in monumental achievements or grand tales of pharaohs and pyramids. Rather, it extends into the very fabric of human experience, flowing like the Nile itself, constant yet ever-changing, infusing our understanding of the present with the lessons and wisdom gleaned from a people who reflected profoundly upon their world. This ancient civilization, possessing such a unique perspective formed by the harmony of nature and astronomy, would influence not only the trajectory of their own culture, but also leave an indelible mark upon future societies. Their contemplations on life, infused with spirituality and the cycles of the cosmos, would ripple across ages, leading us to ponder our place within the vast universe. These early civilizations, knitted into the fabric of their surroundings, inspire us to deepen our own sense of connection to the world, guiding us toward reflection on our shared human experience. Thus, as we settle into the tranquility of this hushed landscape, let us allow ourselves to be enveloped in the wisdom of the stars above and the nurturing embrace of the Nile below. It is under this celestial canopy and the slow, steady pulse of the river that the stories of the ancients unfold, gifted with a stillness that quiets the mind and invites the soul into contemplation. As we breathe in the essence of this era, where land, water, and sky intertwine, may we find a moment of peace within the cosmic dance of creation, a reminder of the fragility and beauty that lie woven into the history of Egypt, connecting us to those who came before and gently urging us to honor their legacy through understanding and reverence. In the gentle hush of night, when the moonlight shimmers upon the surface of the Nile, it is within this sacred space that one can begin to grasp the intricate tapestry of early Egyptian civilization. The rhythm of life along the riverbanks harmonizes with the ebb and flow of the water, a dynamic interplay that nurtures the very foundation of a society poised to rise under the stars. Here along the banks, the fertile black silt, enriched by the Nile's annual inundation, offers promise, a promise of sustenance, stability, and growth, allowing communities to flourish against the backdrop of a seemingly inhospitable desert. As the sun looms high in the azure sky, the fertile lands surrounding the Nile stand in stark contrast to the sweeping expanses of the Sahara, which borders this life-giving waterway. The vast desert extends endlessly, its golden dunes enticing the imagination and evoking a sense of wonder about the forces of nature that shaped this landscape. The harshness of this environment served as a natural barrier, both protecting and isolating these early communities, inviting them to forge their own unique destinies. The juxtaposition of the life-giving river and the arid sands fostered an understanding of duality, life and death, sustenance and desolation, pushing the inhabitants to cultivate not only the land but also their minds and spiritual beliefs, interweaving them into a cohesive worldview. The Nile's annual flood was an event of cosmic importance, a celestial rhythm that governed the lives of those who lived in its embrace. As the waters swelled, drowning the banks briefly, they brought with them sediments of fertile black earth, a vital resource for agriculture. This cycle of flooding, receding, and rejuvenating the land transformed agriculture from a mere possibility into a profound reality, a reality that secured food, built families, and birthed entire communities. As farmers plowed their lands and sowed their seeds, they participated in a sacred dance of cooperation with nature that would resonate throughout their existence, often tied to their sense of spirituality and connection to the gods who governed their fate. This transformation did not only lead to the proliferation of crops, but also enabled the emergence of trade. The Nile was not merely a river, it became a vital artery of exchange, an avenue for resources that wound its way through the nation, allowing communities to exchange goods and ideas with one another. Papyrus woven into sheets for writing painted tales of the daily lives, aspirations, and tribulations of the Egyptians. Crafting exquisite pieces of jewelry, the artisans found their skills admired beyond the banks, leading to a blossoming of craftsmanship that would be revered for centuries to come. As settlements began to blossom along the Nile, the early Egyptians formed not just a bond with the land, but also with one another, cultivating an interdependent network of human connection. Families and clans melded into communities that drew strength from shared labor and collective endeavors, thereby fabricating a sense of belonging. The bustling markets that developed along the Nile served as gathering spots for both social interactions and economic exchanges, where the vibrant colors of textiles adorned stands and the aroma of freshly baked bread wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and conversation. As we trace the footsteps of early Egyptians, we can visualize homes rising from sun-baked mud bricks, a design seemingly simple yet attuned to the environment's demands. These homes, clustered together, formed a protective enclave that underscored the value of community, while their flat roofs served as places of respite, framing the vast desert sky, where the blazing sun cast a golden hue upon the land during the day and allowed for quiet contemplation under soft starlight by night. Each household, imbued with the daily rhythms of life, would wake to the calls of birds, the buzz of life, and the anticipation of each new dawn as families gathered to partake in shared meals and engage in the activities that fostered their livelihood. The symbolism of the Nile imbued faith within the hearts of the inhabitants, intertwining their beliefs with the natural world surrounding them. As they revered the elements of nature, life revolved around deities that manifested the nuances of their existence. Their relationships with these gods were nurtured by myth and ritual, a celebration of the annual flooding of the Nile to honor Hapi, the god of the inundation, reflecting a yearning for continued favor and prosperity. Ceremonies were held along the riverbanks, marked by offerings to the deities, where incense rose into the air, mingling with the scents of the earth, their supplications whispered out into the cosmos. Through this lens, we find that life in ancient Egypt was woven into an intricate fabric of spirituality and reverence, a profound acknowledgement of the cyclical nature of existence. The proliferation of agriculture was but one aspect of their relationship with the land, as they also engaged in the delicate balance of resource management, maintaining not only the soil's fertility, but also the larger ecology surrounding them. Wildlife thrived alongside their fields, the inextricable ties they formed with nature imparted wisdom, revealing the importance of coexistence. As they cultivated their land, they simultaneously began to cultivate ideas, collections of thoughts becoming the foundation of philosophy and governance. As settlements expanded along the Nile, the complexities of society grew, bringing with it discussions around leadership, the fragility of human existence, and the place of individuals within a larger community. Over time, local leaders emerged, guiding their people with wisdom, navigating the currents of change that flowed through their lives. These leaders became the first whispers of governance, where people relied upon their insight and ability to understand the intricacies of both land and society. While the landscape might suggest serenity, it was naturally imbued with the tensions that accompanied growth and prosperity. Primarily surrounding the fertile banks of the Nile, local leaders would contend with the dynamics of territorial rights and resource management as trade and agricultural practices expanded. As one observes the verdant banks giving way to the arid desert, it becomes clear that a balance had to be carefully struck between nurturing the prosperity derived from the land and the preservation of community resources. The ancient Egyptians would indeed come to comprehend that their survival hinged upon unity, a unity forged not only by the bonds of familial ties, but also through shared rituals, beliefs, and aspirations. As they gazed upwards at the stars twinkling in the vast expanse of night, they reflected upon their journeys and the struggles they had overcome, eternally striving for harmony as their civilization began to emerge. Thus, we find ourselves amidst these delicate threads that forged a society, understanding how the Nile helped bind together their destiny, shape their philosophy, and even spoke to their creativity and artistry. The roots of ancient Egyptian civilization reached deep into the soil nourished by the river, yet they blossomed under the watchful star-studded sky, reminding us of our connection to the universe, to nature, to community, and to each other. As they ventured forth, collectively nurturing their environment and spirituality, they invited us to allow our imaginations to roam freely amidst their ancient rhythms, illuminating the path that would lead forth into their storied future, inexorably intertwined with the currents of time and existence itself. As we meander down the winding paths of ancient Kardaka, the scent of baked clay and sun-dried earth perfuming the air, we are enveloped by the day-to-day rituals that painted the rich tapestry of life for the ancient Egyptians. Life thrived along the banks of the Nile, where the presence of this waterway dictated not just the agricultural rhythms, but also defined the very fabric of society, imbuing daily life with purpose and functionality that intertwined with spirituality, community, and the natural world itself. The simple yet profound act of raising a family under the warming rays of the sun and the cool shade of date palms revealed an existence pulsating with vitality and connection. Within the confines of their mud-brick homes, families engaged in communal activities, with women and children taking on roles that reinforced their interdependence. The daily chores often began at dawn, with the gentle song of birds heralding the arrival of another day. The women would rise early to begin their preparations, kneading dough and fetching water from the river. The use of the pottery, crafted from locally sourced clay, served multiple purposes, from storage for grains to vessels for cooking, showcasing the ingenuity of these early artisans who knew how to coax beauty and utility from the resources around them. As these women shaped the meals of the day, they spoke in hushed tones, sharing stories of daily occurrences intertwined with family history. The aroma of fresh bread, baked in the sun, blended pleasantly with the sense of honey and dates, drawing children from their wakeful slumbers, their laughter filling the air with a sweet melody. Parents and children not only shared the physical space of their homes but also engaged in oral traditions passed down through generations, stories echoing the significance of their deities and the lessons of the past, a rich heritage of moral and ethical guidance manifesting through tales of gods and ancestors. Family meals were moments of togetherness, where shared bowls of freshly harvested crops fostered a sense of unity and gratitude. Beans, lentils, onions, and garlic stirred with olive oil marked staples of the diet, with seasonal fruits and vegetables offering variety. As families gathered around the low tables of their humble homes, the act of sharing sustenance went beyond mere nourishment. It became a sacred celebration of the bonds that held them together, a moment of reverence where the contributions of each family member culminated in a singular act of creating that which sustained life itself. Within this vibrant community, work transcended the boundaries of individual effort. It was collective and symbiotic, fostering relationships that extended into neighboring households. The men, often tasked with the rigors of farming and trade, harnessed both the wisdom of their forebears and the invigorated spirit of cooperative labor. Together, they cultivated their lands beneath the warm Egyptian sun, carefully tending to the fields, planting crops in rhythm with the seasonal cycles, grateful for the life bestowed upon them by the inundating Nile. As they toiled side by side, laughter echoed across the fields, a testament to steadfast friendships tempered through trials and victories alike. The significance of trade played an intricate role in shaping their lives. The fertility of the Nile nurtured not only crops but also relationships. Merchants would navigate the river, weaving their way down its length, the thrumming energy of communal life echoing along its banks. Bartering was an art, with goods exchanged ranging from beautifully woven textiles to delicate jewelry fashioned with skillful hands. Here the colors of life unfurled as artisans worked with vibrant dyes and intricate beads, enriching the visual landscape of their world. The hum of life in the marketplace mirrored the bustling activity that saturated the essence of daily life. The dedication to craftsmanship also gave rise to the enchanting world of Egyptian artistry, where the walls of temples echoed with talis carved in stone and painted in rich hues. Skilled artisans, often working in family groups, would engage in the intricate labor of weaving, pottery, and painting, allowing the human experience to be immortalized through artistic endeavors. They transformed their surroundings, embellishing their community with exquisite objects that exemplified both function and beauty. Mirashini pottery, divinely adorned figures of gods, and textiles that spoke of tradition and reverence. As observers of the celestial movements, the ancient Egyptians developed a profound connection to the cosmos, wherein the stars served as their roadmaps, guiding them through both the physical and spiritual landscapes of their lives. The relentless passage of the sun and moon dictated their agricultural practices, memorialized in the art, rites, and architecture that came to define their civilization. Temples built in honor of their deities would align with the sun's arc across the sky, sacred spaces designed not just for worship, but also for uniting the community in their observance of the divine order. Standing before these grand structures, clad in splendid columns that reached skyward as if to touch the heavens, one finds themselves enveloped in the echoes of prayer and devotion. The worship of deities was intricately woven into the daily rhythms of life, where rituals became significant affirmations of their beliefs. Priests chosen for their wisdom and purity served as intermediaries between the divine and mortal realms, offering prayers, performing sacrificial rites, and interpreting the will of the gods. In doing so, they became conduits of spiritual guidance, helping the community navigate the delicate interplay between fate and agency, a shared pursuit of harmony in the face of formidable uncertainties. Despite the richness of their shared existence, the life of the ancient Egyptians was not without its hardships. The annual flooding of the Nile, while nourishing, sometimes brought devastation as well. Storms could wreak havoc, and seasons of drought could threaten their very existence. Yet through the resilience cultivated from generations steeped in this fragile balance, they learned to adapt, forge alliances, and renegotiate their practices. This adaptability became a cornerstone of their social fabric, imbuing their beliefs with an understanding of the impermanence of life and the tenacity required to navigate through both joy and sorrow. Community events marked the flow of the year as the celestial calendar guided the rituals of the people. Festival days were times when laborers would momentarily pause and families would gather, cherishing the shared laughter amidst bursts of music and dance. The celebrations honoring their gods would transform the air into a vivacious tapestry of color, sound, and shared joy, transcending the ordinary boundaries of life into a realm of exuberance and thanksgiving. These festivals not only celebrated the harvests obtained through hard work, but also reaffirmed their beliefs and connections to one another, weaving a stronger fabric of solidarity through moments of collective gaiety. In these shared experiences, we can observe glimpses of the soul of ancient Egypt, a society shaped not only by the physical landscape of the Nile and the surrounding desert, but also by the unyielding spirit of its people. The cultivation of their agricultural sustenance coalesced with the nurturing of their human connections and spirituality, creating a complex cultural symphony resonating throughout their lives. The colors of their existence painted a portrait so vivid that the entire world, as it unfurled beneath the watchful gaze of the stars, became a living testament to the delicate dance of life, the interweaving of all that is earthly and ethereal. As we take a reflective pause amidst the beauty of life that unfolded along the banks of the Nile, we recognize the grace found in their day-to-day existence, illuminating our understanding of humanity and the instinct to forge bonds, create beauty, and ultimately give life to a profound appreciation for the world around us. Here, beneath the firmament, the echoes of their laughter, their devotion, and their craftsmanship remind us of the magnificent humanity that anchored their civilization, the very essence that will continue to inspire future generations long after the final grains of time drift gently through the hourglass of history. As we continue to traverse the rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian civilization, we find ourselves drawn toward pivotal moments that would shape not only their society but also the course of human history itself. It is beneath the expansive skies, filled with the same stars that witnessed the earliest days of humanity, which served as guides for the people of the Nile, that we uncover the intricate interplay of ambition, leadership, and conflict that defined the rise of this remarkable culture. The Nile, always the life-giving essence at the heart of their existence, would also become the stage for various forces seeking dominance, expansion, and legacy within the ever-evolving narrative of ancient Egypt. In the early periods, the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt marked a monumental culmination of centuries of evolving social structures, rural settlements, and burgeoning trade networks. This climactic unification, often associated with the legendary King Narmer, also known as Menes, was not merely a straightforward conquest but rather a culmination of various collaborations, exchanges, and interconnections that had developed along the banks of the mighty river. The unification is often depicted symbolically in artifact and art, the Narmer palette standing as a testament to the shift from division to unity, showcasing the power of leaders who navigated the complex dynamics of their time. Trade, an intrinsic part of their economic existence, laid the groundwork for connections that transcended geographical boundaries. Intricate networks emerged, where goods flowed between communities, allowing for the diffusion of ideas, resources, and cultural practices. Egyptian artisans would craft intricate jewelry, pitch pots, and linen garments that encouraged relationships with neighboring regions, such as Nubia to the south and the lands of the eastern Mediterranean. This healthy exchange was not just confined to tangible items. As merchants traveled along the roads and rivers, they brought with them tales of foreign lands and peoples, offering glimpses into other ways of life which could spark both intrigue and rivalry. Yet, as is often the case in the annals of history, progress courted tension. The consolidation of power and the quest for resources, whether for trade, agricultural expansion, or sheer survival, often positioned burgeoning city-states and their leaders into direct competition with one another. Complex social hierarchies began to crystallize, establishing roles that would dictate not only the distribution of wealth but also the pathways to power. The pharaoh, as a divine ruler, epitomized this amalgamation of spirituality and authority, evoking reverence and fear in equal measure. The temple complexes dedicated to their reigns served not only as spiritual sanctuaries, but as symbols of their might, enduring monuments constructed from their people's labor, testifying to their power and aspiration. As we glide through these narratives, we encounter a series of transformative events that reshaped this civilization. One significant period emerged during the Old Kingdom, known for its monumental architecture, the Age of the Pyramids. These awe-inspiring feats of engineering, crafted with precision and purpose, have captured the imagination of generations. The pyramids symbolize an enduring fixation on the afterlife and the divine governance of pharaohs, who were believed to ascend into the divine realm once they had crossed into the next life. The sheer labor and resources required for such construction required efficient administration and organization, bolstering a centralized governance that also necessitated hierarchical systems to ensure labor mobilization. Yet despite the resilience displayed through a centralized bureaucracy, sustainment of dramatic projects, and expanding trade, the cracks in this seemingly unbreakable structure began to show. Droughts and poor floods, often attributed to natural climatic variability, threatened agricultural outputs, leading to food scarcity and unrest among the people. In this heated milieu of pressure, imbalance emerged not only as nature exerted its forces but also through internal divisions among the elite, as rival factions sought power and influence, spreading vulnerabilities within the ruling class. As political and economic strains grew, the seeds of discontent began to blossom among the populace, echoing the decline of their once fabled grandeur. The first intermediate period marked a significant rupture. Emerging from the chaos loomed competing dynasties vying for dominance, each navigating not only challenges from their adversaries but also the still unfolding consequences of declining resources and reduced central authority. These waves of fragmentation ultimately led to a reinterpretation of power, a shift towards local governance, with nomarchs, regional leaders, gaining prominence and often filled the void left by weakening pharaohs. Yet out of this period of strife arose remarkable adaptations. as the Egyptian civilization demonstrated a resilience characteristic of its people. From this tumult, the Middle Kingdom arose, re-establishing a degree of stability and unity that allowed the arts, literature, and monumental constructions to flourish once more, reflecting the society's innate desire to explore the depths of its shared experience. Through the agency of strong leaders, such as Mentuhotep II, who is credited with reuniting Egypt, renewed artistic expressions emerged focusing on self-reflection and wisdom, imbuing the culture with layers of complexity that straddled the realms of human emotion and divine order. Interestingly, these recoveries were as much about introspection as they were about expansion. As the Middle Kingdom reached out for more territory, inviting incursions into Nubia, improving trade networks with neighboring regions, their view of the cosmos expanded. The Egyptians spoke not just of tangible conquests but began to embolden their narratives with notions of divine right, enriching their mythology as a means to validate their pursuits, solidifying their place in history, culture, and the divine order. However, history's pendulum often swings unpredictably, as external forces would once again challenge the Egypt's carefully woven tapestry of existence. The Hyksos, foreign invaders hailing from the northeast, seized upon the vulnerabilities nurtured by internal discord. Armed with advances in warfare, such as horse-drawn chariots and bronze weaponry, the Hyksos shattered the truce that had been painstakingly stitched from the remnants of earlier strife. Their influence brought new technologies and also dramatic shifts in societal norms, stirring not just fear but also adaptations that would permanently alter the Egyptian landscape. The subsequent struggle to repel outsiders engendered a new consciousness, a desire for unity and identity that transcended local allegiances. This longing culminated in the emergence of strong military leaders who redefined the role of the pharaoh, leading to the formation of the New Kingdom, a time of robust expansion and monumental achievements, wherein Egypt would reach the pinnacle of its power. This epoch saw the likes of Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs to wield such authority, and her ambitious projects, the temples of Deir el-Bahari among them, signified not only a formidable reign but also a complex repository of cultural and spiritual expression. Hatshepsut's legacy illuminates the broader shifts occurring within their society. Her reign carved pathways for future leadership and paved avenues for women to exert influence in a previously male-dominated hierarchy. Yet even as they carved their names into history, internal dynastic struggles and ambitious successors such as Thutmose III, the warrior king, rendered the fragile unity they had achieved more complicated, as power often came at a cost, often escalating into conflict and extending their influence through military campaigns that echoed across the regions beyond their borders. Throughout these journeys of conquest and negotiations, we can witness a profound realization of the duality of human ambition, where growth entwined itself with hardship. The expanse of ancient Egypt continued to evolve, forced to shift under pressures both internal and external, the very fabric of their civilization woven through conflict, cooperation, and ultimate consolidation, a near-mythic journey adorned in grandeur as much as it is shadowed by vulnerabilities. And so, as we linger upon the narratives of a people enshrined in the annals of history beneath the vast whirl of the celestial expanse, with the enduring Nile as their lifeblood, it is a story indicative of humanity itself, a journey through trials and triumphs, the light and shadow entwined, revealing a complex legacy rich in lessons and reflections that continue to echo throughout time. The vast ramifications of their historical developments serve not merely as remnants of the past, but as an ongoing dialogue, a testament to the human spirit, ever glow beneath the watchful stars. As we delve deeper into the saga of ancient Egypt, we encounter a series of transformative events that illuminated both the resilience and fragility of this remarkable civilization. Rising through the annals of time, the multifaceted tapestry of Egyptian life was colored with threads of struggle, ambition, and an unyielding spirit that sought to find balance amid the turbulence of their ever-changing world. The journey through the corridors of power, ambition, and conflict truly reflects the evolving character of this society, revealing how its trajectory would invariably shape the contours of human experience. The emergence of the New Kingdom is one such pivotal episode, a moment pregnant with potential and ambition. Following the expulsion of the Hyksos, who had ruled with a foreign influence that challenged the very essence of Egyptian identity, the rulers of this time harnessed a longing for unity and sovereignty that was profound and collective. Ahmose I, the pharaoh credited with the liberation from foreign domination, became a symbol of resilience, setting a course that would witness Egypt flourish with renewed vigor. His reign heralded a resurrection, leading to grand military campaigns that would extend Egyptian influence into Nubia and beyond, thereby transforming the geopolitical landscape of the region. During this period of expansion, the borders of Egypt whispered tales of conquests and cultural exchanges that enriched life along the Nile. As temples rose in grandeur, theologies intertwined, and a unique cultural synthesis began to flourish. The art and crafts of Nubia, a land that would often become both a source of conflict and collaboration, began to meld with Egyptian aesthetics, infusing vibrancy into artistry that would capture the imagination of generations. Paintings of gods and kings would adorn the walls of temples, exulting in vivid hues that told not just tales of past glories, but carved into the hearts of the populace a palpable sense of hope and identity that transcended time. Yet amid this resplendence, the very fabric of society began to show signs of strain, echoing the nuance of human ambition, a delicate balance between growth and sustainability that every civilization must navigate. The extraordinary achievements in architecture and military prowess came at a cost, necessitating extensive resources and manpower, which in turn called for an efficient system of administration designed to manage both labor and the distribution of wealth. While pharaohs like Hatshepsut expanded trade routes and established diplomacy, the social hierarchies became more pronounced, as elite classes positioned their influence within a framework that often left the common people distant from the corridors of power. Within this atmosphere, tensions simmered just beneath the surface. The complexity of governing a vast empire engendered a figure of authority that had to balance the demands of various classes and regions, often embedding discontent among those who felt their voices were not being heard. Local governors or nomarchs began to accumulate power within their fiefdoms, sometimes undermining the centralized authority of the pharaoh. The intricate web of loyalty and ambition, once underpinned by a shared destiny, began to fray as rival factions emerged. The struggles for dominance became evident, not merely as political maneuvering, but as reflections of the deep-rooted human desires for recognition, control, and legacy. As we reflect upon this journey, it is essential to recognize the interplay of memory and legacy woven into the fabric of ancient Egypt. The struggles for power shifted the narrative from mere survival to one that strove to immortalize achievements. From the grand pyramids of the Old Kingdom to the elaborately frescoed temples of the New Kingdom, the markers of their existence became not merely structural, but also spiritual. Each monument, every inscription, and the gods worshipped within these sacred spaces served a dual purpose, a reflection of devotion to the divine while simultaneously anchoring the pharaoh's legacy within the cosmic order. The inexorable passage of time, however, bore witness to the vulnerabilities of human endeavor. As the New Kingdom's brilliance shined, the specter of decline loomed on the horizon. After the reign of powerful pharaohs such as Ramses II, who achieved resounding military successes and monumental architecture, the once luminous kingdom began to dim. The complexities of maintaining an expansive empire, particularly amid economic constraints and diminishing agricultural productivity due to fluctuations in the Nile's flooding patterns, challenged even the most formidable of rulers. Unforeseen disruptions laid bare the vulnerabilities that had crept into the heart of the civilization. Climate variations, leading to erratic weather patterns, induced famine and unrest, casting long shadows over the optimistic narratives of the past. Social unrest simmered as the populace grappled with the stark reality of scarcity, while the elite retained their wealth, creating a chasm between citizens and the ruling class. The echoes of dissatisfaction resonated throughout the land, as communities began to fracture under the weight of adversity, even as they clung to their rich cultural heritage. As assertion and dominance gave way to divisions and weakened political structures, the Middle Kingdom emerged amidst this evolving milieu, redefined by a potent mix of ambition and adaptation. A new array of rulers sought ways to reinvigorate the spirit of the people, endeavoring to construct alliances rather than unilateral conquests. These coalition-building efforts called forth a vision that was as much about maintaining the bonds of community as it was about territorial expansion. A landscape marred by division slowly began to heal, as leaders recognized the necessity of unity, invoking a sense of shared destiny with their subjects. The legacy of ancient Egypt in its twilight years became a multifaceted narrative, a complex interplay of ambition, spirituality, and community survival that continued weaving itself into the annals of time. This enduring essence began guiding the next generations, infusing daily life with cultural significances that echoed in the traditions and rituals passed down through the ages. It was in the continuity of beliefs that the soul of ancient Egypt lived on, infiltrating the daily lives of its children. Surviving through transformations marked by trials and tribulations, the echoes of ancient Egypt continue to reverberate, through traditions ingrained in regional cultures, through the vast architectural feats that transformed the face of the earth, and through the meditative reflections of its people that carry forth into the present. Even as time whispers the reminders of its vulnerabilities, The legacy of this illustrious civilization flickers in earnest, a pulsating testament to human striving, a reminder of the delicate balance between ambition and survival, illuminating the ongoing narrative that flows alongside the eternal Nile. As we contemplate the journey through ancient Egypt, its dreams, achievements, and shadows, we are pulled toward a deeper understanding of humanity, of the inextricable connections that bind us through the currents of time. In this timeless dialogue, the richness of their story offers wisdom, resilience, and ultimately the beauty of human endeavor, framed against the vast tapestry of the sky, a celestial witness to the dance of life since the dawn of civilization. As the stars above twinkle with the stories of ages past, we find ourselves drawn into the profound legacy of ancient Egypt, a civilization that has etched its mark deep within the corridors of time, one that invites contemplation upon its enduring essence and the quiet whispers of its inhabitants long since departed. The tapestry of this ancient culture is not merely a chronology of events, nor just the grand monuments that rise defiantly against the sands of time. It is a testament to the shared human experience, woven into the very fabric of our collective memory. The allure of the Nile, with its serpentine path nurturing the life that flourished along its banks, presents itself as a metaphor for the very essence of Egypt itself, a magnificent river of dreams running through the wasteland of despair. From the pyramids of Giza, standing as eternal sentinels against the sands of time, to the heart of Thebes alive with ceremonies dedicated to the pantheon of deities, the echoes of this civilization invite reflection not only on what was created, but also on what was lost along the way. It is through understanding this delicate interplay of creation and decay that we begin to unravel the deeper meanings of ancient Egyptian life. As we gaze upon the remnants of temples, their stones imbued with the breath of history, we can almost hear the psalms sung in reverence, the details etched into every corner, reverberating with the prayers of a society that believed itself to be surrounded by divine influence. The artistic expressions that adorned the walls of these sacred spaces conveyed aspirations that transcended earthly existence. While the gods depicted might have seemed distant, the vibrancy of those artistic choices spoke directly to the hearts of the faithful, creating layers of significance that would ripple through generations. In their tranquil reverie, the Egyptians crafted a connection with the universe that echoed their hopes, their fears, and their intimate understanding of mortality. Yet history has a way of reminding us that even the most magnificent epochs can flicker like candle flames in a soft breeze, and despite the grandeur, the weight of fragility owns a part in this narrative. The collective memory of a civilization cannot escape the shadows cast by its decline. The luxury and extravagance of the New Kingdom, with its opulence and grandiosity, eventually gave way to the struggles that plagued the later eras, revealing the vulnerabilities that lay beneath the surface of triumph. This became clear when internal strife and the omnipresent threat of invasion disrupted the continuity of a once harmonious social fabric. A play of roles began to unfold. The powerful leaders, who had once captivated their people with tales of divinity and gracious rule, found themselves facing the bleak realities of despair and discontent as the Nile's generous floods faltered and turned erratic. In this whispers of vulnerability, we find an enduring truth that resonates through the layers of human behavior. Every civilization, no matter how resplendent, is at once curbed and cradled by nature itself. The mercurial grip of climate on agriculture undermined the very foundation of the Egyptian economy, leading to food shortages that ignited unrest among the populace, and with this unrest arose the cries for justice, echoing through the sands like a haunting refrain. The extension of influence over lands distant and diverse fostered relationships that were as complex and contrasting as the people themselves. While kingdoms flourished in the embrace of the fertile Nile, ancient Egypt's story is equally one of coexistence and shared narratives with neighboring cultures. Indeed, the Hyksos, despite being a formidable presence at a certain juncture, also cast shadows that lent texture and complexity to Egyptian identity, teaching lessons of resilience and adaptation that would echo in the monumental legacies left behind. Their blend of cultures introduced innovations that, although initially perceived as disquieting, eventually enriched Egyptian society in profound and lasting ways. Even as foreign influences called forth waves of adaptation, the cultural memory of Egypt soared as a remarkable phoenix amid shifting landscapes. This notion reminds us that the legacies we leave behind do not solely consist of art and architecture. Rather, they lie equally in the teachings passed down, the moralities crafted, and the recognition of the intricate dance between power and humility. The art of storytelling, so integral to the culture, carried forth the essence of ancient Egypt long after its political prowess diminished, encouraging subsequent generations to find strength in their heritage, preserving the wisdom and experiences of those who walked the banks of the Nile. Through the relentless passage of time, some parts of Egypt's legacy grew faint, while others blossomed afresh, transformed into whispers carried on the winds of remembrance and pride. It is within this duality, of survival in spirit and the haunting loss of tangible wellspring, that ancient Egypt's richness persists. Today, these echoes manifest in whispers of reverence at archaeological sites unveiled, reminding us of a world teeming with creativity, resilience, and interconnectedness with the cosmos, a comforting declaration that speaks to the fragile yet tenacious nature of human existence. As travelers lumber along the sun-kissed paths once traversed by pharaohs, they are guided by a silent dialogue with those who came before, engaging with ideas that transcend the tangible remnants of the past. The pharaohs may have departed, their reigns mere whispers on the winds that swirl around the mighty monuments, yet the essence of their aspirations remains alive, to stand eternal against the movement of time, to seek connection with the divine, and to find comfort in the idea that the stories will continue. So as we turn our gaze upward to the vast expanse of the sky, and as the stars twinkle silently above, we reflect not just on the magnificent achievements of ancient Egypt, but also on the lessons on resilience, unity, and identity that continue to ripple through our collective consciousness. The legacy of this great civilization, with its imprint on art, architecture, and culture, may be elusive, yet the connection to the human experience remains vivid and powerful. In quiet moments, as the echoes of the past linger in our thoughts, may we find solace in the realization that the heartbeats of those long gone still resonate amidst the stones and sands, guiding us toward peaceful contemplation. Just as the stars watched over ancient Egyptians, illuminating their paths as they sought purpose and understanding, they quietly beckon us too. The enigma and beauty of human aspiration dwell in the flow of life, a river unbroken, flowing endlessly under the watchful gaze of the universe. And so we conclude this exploration, cradled by the whispers of the Nile, pondering both the sorrow of loss and the joy of survival, tying historical memory into the fabric of our present existence. A gentle reminder that, like the stars, the legacies we forge are tethered to something far greater than ourselves, shimmering brightly in the perpetual night, eternal and undying, serving as the guiding light for future generations to come.